Hello and welcome back to Science in the Five Senses. We're still talking about science that you can taste. We're going to see what dissolves in water today. So we're going to do an experiment with flour and an experiment with sugar. Let's go ahead and get started. So here I've got about a tablespoon of flour and we're going to dump it into my jar of water right here. And I'm going to give it a swirl. And it doesn't quite dissolve all the way. So I'm going to keep stirring for a minute, and then I'm going to stop and we're going to let it all kind of settle to the bottom. So as you can see, our water is a little bit cloudy, but most of our flour has all settled down to the bottom here and it hasn't totally disappeared. So I'm going to tilt it a little bit, and we can see that it's all gathered right at the bottom right there. We're going to set this aside, and now we're going to do an experiment with some sugar. So here I've got 1 glass of cold or room temperature water, and I'm going to pour some hot water into this glass, making sure we have the same amount. Ooh, steamy. All right, and we're going to see how much water dissolves in our cold glass versus our hot glass. And we're going to be putting in sugar 1 teaspoon at a time. So we'll start with our cold glass. And we'll give it a little bit of a stir to get it all dissolved. All right, that looks pretty good. We'll see if any sugar settles to the bottom. And then we'll do a teaspoon into our hot water. And we'll give it a stir with a different spoon. And I don't see any, oh, there's a little bit of sugar settled at the bottom of our cold glass. Let's see if I can stir that in and get it all dissolved. All right. I don't see any sugar settled at the bottom of either glass, so we'll do another one. So this will be our 2nd teaspoon into our cold water. I'll give that one a stir. And a 2nd teaspoon into our hot water. All right. Oh, it looks like our cold one still has a little bit of sugar at the bottom. We'll give it another stir. Ooh, I think that might be as much as can dissolve in our cold cup of water is 2 teaspoons. Let's do a 3rd teaspoon into our hot cup of water. And we'll put a 3rd teaspoon into our cold cup too, just to see. Yeah, you can see there's definitely some sugar down at the bottom of our cold glass. After that 3rd teaspoon, we'll do a 4th teaspoon into our hot water. We'll give our cold one another stir to see if I can get that little bit to dissolve. Maybe not. Nope, I think that one's just going to be done. So we were able to get about 3 teaspoons dissolved in our cold water, and we've done 4 in our hot water. Let's do 1 more in our hot water to see if we can get 5 teaspoons to dissolve. Okay. I'll do a 6th teaspoon once that's all done. I know it's hard to see over here, but there is a little bit of sugar down at the very bottom that didn't dissolve from last time. So that was 6 teaspoons here and 3 teaspoons in our cup of cold water. We'll put a 4th teaspoon in there just so that we can see it a little bit better. And we'll put a 1/7 teaspoon into our hot water. Ooh. So it looks like our 7th teaspoon completely dissolved over here. You can see the 4th teaspoon over here left some white down at the very bottom. We'll do an 1/8 teaspoon into the hot water. All right. Eventually, oh, maybe. I'm not sure that that shows up very well on camera, but there is a little bit of sugar that is still not dissolved from that 1/8 teaspoon in our hot water. So let's put in a 9th teaspoon and see what that looks like. All right. Just a little bit. So we got about 9 teaspoons dissolved in our hot water, and I know you can see the level has changed between the hot water and the cool water because we added almost twice as many teaspoons to the hot water as we did the cool water. So we got about 4 teaspoons into our cold water and 9 teaspoons into our hot water before the sugar stopped dissolving. All right, so that is our solubility for Science in the 5 Senses. Solubility being how much something dissolves in water. So in our flour experiment, we noted that flour doesn't really dissolve in water, it just kind of suspends and then starts to sink to the bottom. When we did our sugar experiment, we noticed that our cool glass of water only held about 4 teaspoons of sugar totally dissolved, whereas our hot glass of water had about 9 teaspoons of water totally dissolved. So those are some of the differences. Some other fun things to do with solubility and dissolving would be Skittles in water. Skittles, the colors will run in water if you line them up in a ring. You can also do experiments with gummy bears and different kinds of water. So you can see how gummy bears expand with plain water versus salt water versus sugar water versus other kinds of liquids. If you do any solubility experiments or dissolve any new things in water, be sure to leave us a comment below and tell us about your experiment. Bye!